Hey Mark, it's Trace. Hope you're doing well. You had a good week. Everything's looking really good. Um, just as a general comment, it was interesting because you had said that some of your cadence and all that was zeroing out, but when we get to looking at the power files, uh, I didn't really see a whole lot of zeroing out. So I wonder if it's just kind of weird. It was almost like maybe the display on your screen or something wasn't correct, but it seemed to be recording it okay. I didn't see any real main errors or anything else too. Another thing I did, I went and I did a little bit of customization, a little bit of coding here, and I actually added in a little thing here called title so that we can tell exactly, what each one of those is when we do the workout review. So hopefully that'll help. When I just record these things or whatever, I'll just add that in as part of your stuff, so you know exactly what it was. So, looking at your week, everything was great. You did have a good week. It was kind of strange. It took me, I for some reason I didn't. I had a little bit of difficulty getting this workout down, and it had bumped your weekly training stress down underneath 300. So I was pretty happy when I figured out that for some reason that it wasn't pulling this one down. So I was able to get that. And you can see that so that was good for 67 training stress points. So pretty much almost one training stress point per minute, which is I mean it's a big deal for sure. And then your weekend was really good. You having these 80, 70 training stress rides, and you can see those 30-second bursts. Those were kind of fun to look at too, by the way, especially when you could see where your power was coming back to. It was very surgical what you were doing. It was kind of cool. So let's take a look at, let's see, if we go here to your week. This is from the second to today. So you can see your weekend, and your training stress balance stayed pretty. Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting. Out of all the guys I coach, I'm the happiest with your training stress balance right now. Um, a lot of the guys I'm coaching I'm having them. They're all staying about +8 right now, and so you're the only guy I have that's really just thrashing it. Well, not thrashing it, but doing well. And your 20-minute peaks, you can see here everything's looking good. Um, Let me close that. Sorry. Um, and let's see what else we got here. Let's go to your weekly. And so, yeah, you were 343 for the week. And if we look out at 30 days, so you were 331 the week before, 343 for this past week. And again, your 20-minute power, all of that stuff is really holding in pretty well. And we're going to get close to getting you some 20-minute power work this weekend. We're going to go up to 15 minutes, and it's not going to be full FTP yet, but we're walking that way towards the goal of the FTP stuff. So let me see here. If I want to make sure I'm on this week here. If we take a look at the time that your power was, and again, I didn't really see any power problems with your power reading or anything else. I did see, and hopefully I remember to mention that, on a couple of rides you're still favoring, gosh, what is it? It would be your left leg. So your left leg isn't working as hard, only off by about 3 or 4%, but it's something that we just want to just keep watching. And so your power over this week was really good in this range, and you had a nice distributed heart rate. So you can see your hard work over here, and back endurance and recovery, whatever. So that was really good. And if we look at the training stress per day, really good. This is your weekend. If we go out, see if I can get out 30 days. Um, so these are all coming in right about where they should for the weekend, and you can see how it's been getting harder every week. And again, you can see if we back this out, your acute training load, which is that magenta line there, that's moving up. So we're all happy there. It's definitely nice to see, The only our trouble is with you is we just got to keep that a nice even. We don't want to make that super high, but you're doing great. This is exactly what we want. Um, we've definitely we've definitely got you honed in here too. And the numbers that you were doing on that VO2 workout were awesome too, and we'll get to that in a second. So, everything looks like the only chance you had to get outdoors was a little bit a week or so ago, and it's been a dry, indoorish kind of month, of course, and that's kind of looks like what we've been here in Colorado too. We're not. I got out yesterday and um, it was pretty wet. I looked like I'd ridden in the Paris-Roubaix by the time I was done, but it was nice to get out. But just that time of year, and your time and zones, everything's good there. VO2 max. We're seeing bits of this backfilled with the endurance, and we're going to see more tempo start to move up here. If I go back to your week here, so if you compare, see if I compare tempo here to over the last 30 days. Over the last 30 days, you hadn't been doing as much tempo because, of course, we wanted most of that in here. But if you compare that to what it looked like directly this week, did you see how that jumped up? So we're starting to see more tempo and more endurance. Let me just show you that again. So if you go back to 30 days, everything's being kind of bumped up in here and a little bit endurance. But if you go back up to this one here, you can see that we're moving more into endurance and tempo. So again, that's just what we want. Okay, time and distance. Yeah, we already got that one here. So let's dive into your rides. Okay, so weights and endurance on Monday. Here again, and we'll be adding more to that this week too. And I've got that on the calendar. We'll talk about that in a second. This was your VO2 W1. This is the one I was pretty happy with here. So we've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laps here. These are awesome. Check these out, dude. So 317, 333, 32. These are 3-minute sets. And yeah, your maximum heart rate was right where you should be, but these were fantastic. 157, and then a nice 334 with a 160 at the end. Really cool. And again, you see, I don't notice any. Looks like the cadence is measuring good. Your power, I don't see any missing power. This one here was a little bit. That might have been the one where you're having difficulty with your cadence. You can see there's a little bit of weird. There's no way your power went down to, or your cadence went down to 45. I seriously doubt that, because you're pretty good about carrying your cadence high every week, or on these, especially on these sets. You're definitely paying attention. So maybe that's some of the stuff that that you were talking about. But either way, this was some of the So the left leg is being favored a little bit more here. So you may want to just sort of mentally start focusing, and if you can bring that up on your Garmin screen, that would be great. So just have your left-right balance, something to kind of focus on too. And most of these should all be done in the TT position like we talked about. But remember, so if you're doing a 3-minute deal, you're doing 40 seconds in the TT position, 15 to 20 seconds standing, another 15 in the climbing, and then back into that 40-second in the TT position. So we're really trying to, the most we're holding is almost 45 seconds in the TT position, which is going to let you sort of stretch out and hopefully feel better. Tempo 5 the next day. I did a couple fatigue checks here, so we just ran a quick, I just grabbed a section here and a section here. Your efficiency factor 1.6, 1.57, so that's only very, very, very little efficiency drop there, which is really cool. And nice 145, 153 heart rate. Everything's looking good. And we're going to continue to see these numbers get closer together as the season progresses. So that's really good. And then another on this Endurance W2 on Friday. Here's again another fatigue check. and you can see 1.5 and 1.47. So these numbers actually, because you got another day in there to recover, you can see how these are even closer than they were the day before. So all of that's good, and again, good concentration, everything's good there. So here we are on Saturday. This is the 100 minute 53 by 19 builds. You can see as you started those sets, your cadence is up because you're in your 19, and then your cadence is going down as your gears get harder and taller, and heart rate is going up and power is going up as well. And you can, dude, you were pushing hard, dude. 350 watts there at the peak. That was awesome, and I'm glad you pulled that back a little bit because that's crazy, man. But here you can see your cadence really only dropped down to 75, which is fantastic. Usually, if that's me, man, I'm just suffering like 60, 65. So don't worry so much about if you need to go down to like in the 60s in your cadence to make that happen. This might have been maybe a bit harder workout than I was anticipating. So feel free to let your cadence drop a little bit more. If it's under 60, maybe make 60 your baseline or whatever. But I do appreciate the hard work here, but that was maybe a little bit harder than I really wanted you to do. So that's okay. And then again, Sunday here we have 100 minutes. This was kind of cool what I was talking about. Look at these are your 30-second bursts here. Boom, 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 boom. And as you're doing those, look at how even your power came back. So you were like, all right, I'm going straight back to 200 watts every time here. So that was really pretty effective. And there you are spinning everything out. So again, another great week. If I show you what I got here on the calendar, let me make sure I can get that here where you can see it. What I'm adding in more columns. So I'm adding what your training stress per week plan goal was, and then actually how much you achieved. So your goal was 309 for last week, and you got 343. So this week your goal is 324, and you can see basically you're essentially 2 weeks ahead. So if you want to, I'm trying to do to make it so that hopefully your weekly training stress goal will be around 324. And I think if we can cut you back a little bit on that Saturday, I'd like to have you repeat that, but have you cut that back just a tad again, so you're not up to 160 heart rate to hold that last little bit. It was definitely a good ride. Now, if you're feeling it, if you're feeling good, that's totally okay. We're not going to be stressing your knee out because you've got a couple easy days after that. So that's totally up to you. So if you want to stay in the 340 range here, that's okay too. But I'd like to have a little bit of room to kind of bump it up, because you can see here we're going to be hitting those FTPs and everything else here too. So just depending on how physically you're feeling, that's okay. So I'm giving you a tempo W3 here, but the tempo W3 and the thing is, I think, like 100 minutes or 85 minutes or something like that. So there's a main block of 45 minutes in there that I want you to just to knock that down to make sure that your workout lasts between 60 and 70 minutes is all. And then we're going to go up to sub LTW3 here versus the VO2W1. It's very similar. This is all stuff that's just going to prep you for that FTP ride. And I'm going to add a little bit more spinning here, and you can see that it says the goal is 35 training stress points, and last week you were 25, so that might mean another 15 minutes of spinning or something like that. But I just really want you to spin your legs out on that. And then this is going to be the same kind of deal. What I'd like to have is a 15-minute block. This is what I was talking about before, a 15-minute block, 5 times 3 minutes at 295. Now, no rest between those, so it's a 15-minute set, but I really want you to try varying your cadence every 3 minutes. So you might want to start out high cadence at the beginning, and then have a couple of like 70 cadence 3-minute sets. And so what's varying is your cadence, but you're holding that 295 watts. So that's getting you ready for that 20-minute FTP, and this is getting you ready for the FTP ones. So again, great week. Yeah, if we honestly, I mean, if we can pull back your actual training stress just a tad, that would be great. But again, I think that all depends on how you feel on Saturday. So if you're feeling it, or or whatever, let kind of that be the deciding factor. But you've got some room in there to sort of relax a little bit before, soon enough we're going to be FTP in it, and that'll be the mark of the full season. But on the other side too is you're doing those 3-minute FTPs very well, very good heart rate and everything else. So you should be in a really good spot to bump it up. So okay, buddy. I think that's what I got. I'm gonna save this and send it over to you, and we will be talking to you later, man. Love you, bud. Bye bye.